Hello and welcome back to Legal Action. I'm Susan Alvarado and I'm happy to welcome you to the third in a three-part series on domestic violence. We have with us this evening again Judge Beth Sexton to my right. Judge Sexton, thank you very much for being here with us. We also are happy to welcome tonight Thomas Else, attorney at law. Tom is also the president of the DuPage County Bar Association, and we very much appreciate your taking time out to be with us this evening, Tom.
You're welcome.
And I would also like to introduce Sean McCumber. Sean is here tonight to discuss with us the issues of domestic violence as they relate to divorce cases and actually custody disputes and other things having to do with children. But this evening, I would like to start with Judge Sexton, if I could. Judge Sexton, in our last program, we were talking with State's Attorney Burkett about various issues related to sentencing and what happens when somebody, if there has been an order of protection issued, there has been a finding of domestic violence by you in the courtroom. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what sentencing guidelines are in a case like this?
Sure. The vast majority of domestic violence cases are charged as a misdemeanor, and they have a separate courtroom where they're all heard. They are not spread out among the general misdemeanor courtrooms. Mm-hmm. And they are all Class A misdemeanors, which means that you could be sent to DuPage County Jail for up to 364 days. You could be fined up to $2,500 in fines plus court costs, and up to 2 years of conditional discharge or probation. The important thing, and I think Joe Burkett brought this up, is there is no court supervision available for domestic violence or domestic battery. It is an automatic conviction, and it will stay on your record, and it will follow you. That conviction can affect professional licensure. Some licensing agencies in Illinois will pick that up, and it could cause you to lose your job. So it's very important to know the possible consequences when you are charged with a domestic battery.
I see. And what about repeat offenders? First of all, let me ask you, what is the rate of, what would you say would be the rate of repeat offenders that you see in your courtroom?
You know, I don't have a specific number, but it is frequent.
Is it?
By its very nature, domestic battery is a routine, repeated event, and it's not necessarily with the same partner. If someone gets divorced or finds a new girlfriend, that person is at risk of becoming a victim, as well as repeat offenses within the family unit.
Does it make a difference then in your sentencing when you have a repeat offender before you?
Yes, it does. The more you get charged with, the more jail time is probably going to be imposed. And finally, if you have so many offenses, you're going to be charged as a felon, and you'll go up to the felony courtrooms where prison is a possibility.
I see. So, again, I'm always kind of astonished that here in our own DuPage County, that this is actually a larger problem than we know. Would you agree with that statement, Judge Sexton?
I definitely would agree with that, and I know our caseload is growing, and I'm not sure if domestic battery is growing. It may be that people understand the reporting of domestic battery and the importance of trying to go to court to stop it. Mm-hmm. I think that may be something we're seeing too.
I know that in our last program, both Amy Milligan from the Family Shelter Services and our State's Attorney Joe Burkett both really stressed that people should pay attention to that little voice inside of them, their intuition, that if something feels wrong, that a person should follow up on that. What advice would you give to our viewers, Judge? What do you think is one of the three top things that people should be looking for?
Obviously, controlling behavior. It doesn't necessarily have to be violent behavior, but I think Amy was talking about being cut off by money, by the phone, someone always following you, calling you, trying to keep track of you. Those are the initial things that she pointed out, and I think those are true. One of the things that you can get an order of protection is to get somebody from stalking you, to keep them from doing that.
Right.
And that's a frequent thing we see.
Yeah, and again, stalking has it has a legal definition, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And I do think that, as we discussed before, if you're not sure whether or not this behavior amounts to stalking, then a phone call should be placed either to a lawyer or to the domestic violence shelter or to family services and really check this out, yes?
And it doesn't have to be physical stalking. We have cyber stalking now. Someone sending 100 emails a day, 100 texts a day over the phone. Those are types of things that are protected also.
Right, right. So those are things that we should be looking at
Correct.
too. Yes, yes. I wonder if I could talk to you, Tom, for a minute, and I wonder if you might tell us, I know you've been practicing matrimonial law now for a couple of years. What do you see as changing? What's changed? What are the trends in domestic violence?
Well, the amount of domestic violence appears to either be going up or people are more likely to report it now than they used to. And I think that that is more the trend. In the past, people that were the victims of domestic violence, I think, tended not to report it as much because they wanted to keep their families together and they were very concerned about the consequences to their spouses. I think they've realized that it's in the best interest of themselves and their families to report incidences of domestic violence, and for that reason, there seems to be a lot more of it in the courts.
Right. And again, I think it's important to our viewers to understand that a phone call to the office of Tom Else or to Sean McCumber or any other lawyer or family shelter doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take legal action. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end up in Judge Sexton's courtroom. Is that right?
That's exactly right. I've been an attorney doing this for about 26 years now, and a lot of times people will call me and discuss it with me, and they'll decide based on my advice to them whether or not they should take legal action and what legal action they should take, whether it's in the form of pursuing an order of protection or calling the police, or sometimes they'll file a divorce case and obtain an injunction against their spouse if their concerns are primarily financial. So it's not all necessarily domestic violence or abuse, but again, it's always in their best interest to discuss any problems that they're having with a professional.
Right. And I do feel compelled to say here that we see domestic violence occur in lots of different contexts. That it's not always violence from the male to the female. It can be male to male, female to female, or even female to male. Is that right, Tom?
Sure, that happens quite a bit, and it's not only between people that are having relationships. It can be between parents and children, children and parents, children and grandparents. There's a lot of people that are potential victims.
And the caregivers and the elderly, that has been a specific provision in the domestic battery statute.
Right, right. So there are a lot of people that are covered under this domestic violence statute. Tom, I wonder if you could give us a quick rundown on just exactly what the difference is between domestic violence and any other kind of violence, like domestic battery versus some other kind of battery.
Well, in the criminal courts, a battery that takes place between people that I guess you would define them as strangers is,
Right.
in the case of a domestic or a battery case, is it just a misdemeanor battery. Domestic battery and things that come under the Domestic Violence Act are defined by the statute. Usually people that know each other in some way, people that are roommates, family members, people that are living together, caregivers. You know, it seems as time has gone on as the statute's developed, they've added more definitions as to what comes under the Domestic Violence Act based on society and the way things have changed.
So then, Judge Sexton, if a case